All right, this is 1.1, slope and writing equations in slope-intercept form. So the learning targets for this unit are to determine the slope of a given line, given 2 points, transform a linear equation into slope-intercept form, and identify the slope and y-intercept from slope-intercept form. So here's the basic information that we need to know. A linear equation is just an equation for a straight line. Remember, linear has the word line in it. The slope is the vertical change to the horizontal change between 2 points. So you can see kind of a picture of that right there. And then slope formula. When we talk about this, you're going to use the formula of m, that's what you use for slope, equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We also talk about that as rise, which is the vertical, over run, which is the horizontal. We're going to talk about all these different types of slopes. So you can have a positive slope, a negative slope, a zero slope, or an undefined slope. And we will get into that as we start looking at our equations. So let's just talk about first few examples. We're just going to find the slope. So again, that formula for slope is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now you might be asking, what are x2, x1, y2, y1? Each point has an x1 and a y1, and then x2, y2. So those are the x and y values of the given points. So let's just plug those into our formula. We're going to start with y2. So I have 4 minus y1, which is 7. And then negative 2, which is x2, minus x1, which is negative 3. Okay, now remember, when we have subtracting a negative, that becomes the same thing as adding. So what I'm really doing is 4 minus 7 over negative 2 plus 3, which gives me negative 3 over positive 1. So m would equal negative 3. Okay, here's another example. Again, we're going to start with our equation. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Let's plug in, here's x1, y1, x2, y2. So let's plug in those values. We get 4 minus 4 over 3 minus 5. So I end up with 0 over negative 2. So that equals 0. Anytime you see 0 over a number, that equals a 0 slope. Okay, let's look at one more example of just finding the slope. So again, we're starting with our equation, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And I'm plugging in my numbers here. So I have 1 minus 6 on the top. And then I have negative 4 minus negative 4 on the bottom. So that gives me negative 5 over, remember, minus a negative, this really becomes a plus. So negative 4 plus 4, which is 0. Okay, so that means that this is an undefined slope. Anytime you have a number over 0, when 0's on the bottom, it's undefined because we can't divide by 0. So if you do this in your calculator, it's going to say error, cannot divide by 0. Okay, now we're going to just talk about slope-intercept form. This is just one form of an equation for a straight line. And then the intercepts, we're going to talk specifically about the y-intercepts, are points where a line crosses an axis, and we write it as an ordered pair. So an ordered pair means a number, comma, number within those parentheses. So we have an x and a y value. Okay, when we look at our slope-intercept form, that is y equals mx plus b. And remember that m stands for slope, and b is the y-intercept, which is always going to be written as 0, comma, a number. All right, so let's look at an example here. Here's an equation of a line, 5x minus 4y equals 16. However, we want to make sure that it's written in slope-intercept form, which is that y equals mx plus b. So I need to get this y by itself. The first thing I'm going to do is subtract 5x from both sides. So I get minus 4y. Remember, the signs stay with, so minus 5x plus 16. This 16 is positive, the 5x is negative, and I'm going to always write the x term first because it's first in my equation. Okay, now I'm going to divide everything by negative 4. So I get 5/4 x minus 4, because positive 16 divided by negative 4 gives me a negative 4. So there's my equation in slope-intercept form, which means now that m, which is right before the x, is at 5/4. We don't write the x in, we just write the number there. And then we're looking at the y-intercept, which is negative 4. So I'm going to write that as 0, negative 4. Remember, we always start with 0, we always write it as an ordered pair. Let's look at one more example. Again, my goal is y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to subtract 3x. Oops. I get 2y equals negative 3x plus 18. Divide everything by 2. So my equation is y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 9. That's my equation in slope-intercept form. That means my m, my slope, is negative 3 over 2. That's that number in front of the x. And the y-intercept would be positive 9. So I write that as 0, comma, 9. And that is it for 1.1 slope-intercept form.